I installed cameras in my own house. And what I saw on those recordings, it destroyed me. Not just as a husband, but as a man. Folks, Uncle Mickle here. Before I dive into this mess of a story, do me one favor. Drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. And if stories like mine hit you where it hurts, hit that like button and subscribe. Helps Uncle Mickle keep telling you the kind of truth most folks don't like to face. Now let me take you back. It started like any ordinary Tuesday evening. My wife, Emily, had just left for her book club, or at least, that's what she said. Funny thing is, I never cared to question her. We'd been married for 16 years, lived in a quiet little house on Maple Ridge Lane. The kind of place with a mailbox leaning slightly forward, like it's trying to greet the morning newspaper. The kind of home you think is safe, solid, predictable. Back then, if someone had told me my life was about to fall apart, I would have laughed. We had routines. Sunday pancakes. Friday movie nights. She'd fall asleep halfway through. I'd pretend I wasn't hurt by it. Small things that felt normal, comforting. People think betrayal comes like thunder, loud, sudden. The truth. It arrives quietly, like a draft under a locked door. I still remember that week clearly. The house smelled like fresh lemon polish. Emily loved to clean when she was stressed, said it cleared her mind. I'd walk in after work and see her wiping counters that were already spotless. She smiled, but not with her eyes. There was distance, a soft kind, like someone standing on the other side of a window glass, waving politely. I didn't take it seriously at first. Just life, I thought. Marriage gets quiet sometimes. But looking back, I miss signs. The late-night phone buzzes she hid with her palm. The longer showers, 30 minutes, sometimes 40. The way she dressed up more for errands than she ever did for dinner with me. Still, I trusted her. Maybe too much. One night we were having dinner, meatloaf, a little oversalted, but I didn't say anything because she'd been working hard. She laughed at something I said, but the sound felt rehearsed, like an actress trying to remember her lines. And when she thought I wasn't looking, she stared at her phone beneath the table, thumbs moving fast, face glowing from the screen. I told myself, it's nothing. Don't be paranoid. But there was a whisper inside me, soft, persistent. Something is wrong. I pushed it aside. Had a long week at work, and stress plays tricks on a man's mind. Still, as I washed dishes later that night, I kept replaying her smile in my head. It wasn't the smile I married. Hers used to reach her ears, light up the room. Lately it just stopped halfway. I slept uneasy. In the morning, Emily kissed my cheek, too quick, and grabbed her purse. She said she was running to the store, and she'd come back with groceries eventually. But something about her arrival bothered me. Her hair was messy, not wind messy, but rushed messy. Shirt slightly wrinkled, and she smelled like cologne that wasn't mine. I wish I could tell you I confronted her then, that I was bold. But I wasn't. I told myself, don't jump to conclusions. A man who loves deeply also doubts slowly. Still a seed had been planted. That night lying in bed, staring at the ceiling fan spin like a clock hand ticking away my peace, I thought, what if I'm being played for a fool? And the worst part? I loved her too much to even allow myself to think it fully. But folks, here's the line that stuck in my head all night. No one hides their phone like that unless they've got something to hide. That thought kept me awake. And that wasn't even the worst part. Because the very next day, something happened in that house that finally pushed me to take action. Action I never imagined I'd take against my own wife. For years, our home was my kingdom. Not a mansion, not luxury, but peace. A place where morning coffee tasted better because she was sitting across the table humming soft country tunes. A place where birthdays meant messy kitchen countertops, flour in her hair, and me pretending I hated the frosting on my nose. We weren't perfect, no couple is, but we were us. Or at least, I believed we were. I worked as a maintenance supervisor in a local manufacturing plant. Long hours, loud machines, dirty boots. I come home tired, fingers stained with grease no soap could fully remove. But that front door, crossing through it felt like stepping into warmth. Emily would greet me with that little smirk of hers, playful and familiar, the one that said I've been waiting for you. 16 years together builds habits. Little rituals that glue two lives into one. Saturday mornings, we drive out to the farmer's market. She loved fresh strawberries, hated bruised ones. Sunday evenings were for folding laundry, while some old sitcom played in the background. Her head usually rested on my lap, my fingers in her hair. That's the memory that stings the most. You don't rest your head like that unless you trust someone. Or maybe, unless you want them to trust you. If you had asked me then, I'd have sworn on my own heartbeat that Emily loved me. We were high school sweethearts, met at 17. She spilled soda on my shoes and apologized, so much I bought her another drink just to stop her from crying. We laughed about that story every anniversary. At least we used to. Looking back now, I wonder when that laughter started sounding different. The first real warning sign came quietly. I remember sitting on the porch one evening, just the two of us, fireflies here and there, summer breeze warm as soup. Emily was scrolling her phone like always. I leaned over to kiss her cheek and noticed how fast she locked the screen, like muscle memory. She smiled at me, thin smile, guarded smile, and said, "Just work emails, babe. Nothing interesting." But she never used to hide work emails. That night she showered before bed, again, longer than usual. I was lying there half asleep when her phone buzzed on the dresser. One buzz, two, then three. My hand twitched. Curiosity is a dangerous thing, folks. It can turn a faithful man into an investigator in seconds. I didn't check it. I swear on my name, I didn't. I respected her privacy. Or maybe I feared what I'd find. Next morning she left early. Said she was meeting her sister for breakfast. I kissed her goodbye and felt coldness instead of lips. Not ice, not yet. Just cool. Detached. Like my wife was present in body, but her mind somewhere else. I kept telling myself, she's just stressed. Marriage goes through seasons. Don't make problems where there are none. Denial is a soft pillow, but it suffocates slowly. Days pass like that. A little distance here. A cold tone there. She started working late more often. She laughed at texts she wouldn't let me see. She began wearing perfume on grocery runs. Vanilla mist. She never wore perfume to the grocery store. And yet, we still shared dinners. Still watched TV. Still lived like husband and wife. The routine stayed, but the soul behind it felt thinner, like a photograph left too long in the sun. Then came the moment that finally cracked my peace. Her phone rang while she was cooking. Italian number saved simply as Mike G. She froze. Oil sizzling in the pan, her eyes on that screen like it was a snake. I asked casually, "Who's Mike?" She dropped her gaze. Too long. Too slow. Then she laughed, forced laugh, and said, "Just a co-worker asking about schedules." She turned away quickly, quicker than honesty should move. That was the first night I sat in the driveway after work for almost an hour, hands gripping the steering wheel, staring at the house, and wondering if I even recognized the life inside. A little voice in me whispered, "Something isn't right, Mickle. Pay attention." And folks, I did. Because what happened next, the first clue, the incident that pushed suspicion into certainty, was waiting just around the corner. And trust me, it was subtle, but it changed everything. The shift from suspicion to certainty doesn't happen like lightning. It happens like a slow leak in a tire. You don't notice until the whole thing sags under you. It was a Thursday night, plain, uneventful, the kind of night life doesn't warn you about. I got home around 6, a little earlier than usual. Emily didn't expect me, and maybe she thought I'd be working late again like I'd been forced to the past few weeks. When I opened the door, the house was too quiet. No TV, no music, no clatter from the kitchen, just stillness. Her car was outside, shoes by the door, purse on the entry table. She was home. I called out, casual as ever, "Em, you here?" No answer, but I heard something, a hushed voice. Not loud, not obvious. A whisper, then the sound of drawers closing quickly. My heart kicked against my ribs. I walked slowly toward the hallway, steps careful on the hardwood floor. The bedroom door was almost closed, just a sliver of warm lamp light outlining the frame. I heard it clearly this time. A man's voice. Low. Calm. Not mine. I froze. Every instinct in my body told me to barge in, but another voice inside whispered something colder. Don't act without proof. Don't blow up your life over shadows. So I stepped back quietly, boots lighter than they ever felt after a 12-hour shift. I waited by the corner, listening. Emily laughed softly, a laugh she hadn't used with me in months. My jaw clenched. Then I heard the line that changed everything. You know he'll never suspect a thing. My stomach fell like an elevator snapping its cables. I backed away, heart hammering in my throat. I walked out the front door, got in my truck, and just sat. Engine off. Darkness creeping through the windshield. I didn't drive. I didn't cry. I didn't breathe right. I just stared. When she finally came out 20 minutes later, alone, she acted normal. Kissed my cheek like always. Asked why I didn't come in. I said I had a headache. Her eyes flickered. Guilt or nerves, I still don't know. But she let it go. That night, I lay in bed beside her, pretending to sleep. She texted someone under the blanket. The glow lit her face like a confession in blue light. Every time she typed, I felt further from the woman I married. Around midnight, she fell asleep. Phone still in her hand. I stared at it for half an hour. And folks, let me be honest, temptation is a strong thing. One tap and I could know everything. But I didn't touch it. Not yet. Because something in me said, if she's cheating, you need undeniable proof. Proof doesn't come from guessing. Proof doesn't come from snooping messages that she can explain away with a clever lie. Proof comes from evidence no one can deny. Not her, not her family, not even herself. That little seed of distrust sprouted into a plan. Next day, I went to work like nothing happened. Smiled at jokes. Drank burnt coffee. Signed work orders. But my brain wasn't in that plant. My brain was home, in that bedroom, replaying that voice over and over. You know he'll never suspect a thing. Those words gnawed at me every second. When I got off shift, I didn't go home. I drove to an electronics store instead. Walked straight to the security section, like a man on a mission. I bought 3 tiny HD cameras. Motion activated. Wireless. Cloud backup. Small enough to hide behind a picture frame or air vent. Technology meant for security, but in my case, for truth. The cashier scanned them and joked. Catching raccoons or catching thieves? I forced a smile. My answer should have been simple, but the truth sat like a stone in my stomach. So I said quietly, just need to know what's happening when I'm not home. He nodded like he understood more than he said. Driving back home that night felt like crossing a line I couldn't uncross. I kept thinking, is this betrayal on my part too? Am I breaking her trust? But then another thought cut through everything. You can't betray someone who betrayed you first. I waited until Emily went to sleep. Then, with shaking hands, I set up the cameras. Living room, hallway, bedroom corner disguised as a charging adapter. I tested them twice, made sure they recorded sound too. As I lay back down next to her, listening to her breathe peacefully, I whispered in my mind, if there's something to find now, I'll find it. And I had no clue that within days, those cameras would show me something no husband should ever have to see. The first night of recordings showed nothing. Just Emily cooking dinner, watching TV, folding laundry routine. Almost too routine, as if life was wearing a mask. I told myself maybe I'd been wrong. Maybe the voice I heard belonged to the TV or a neighbor through the window. Maybe I was seeing shadows where there was only stress. But hope is a fragile thing. And the cameras didn't lie. It was the third night, a Monday. I stayed late at work on purpose. Nerves twisted tight as barbed wire. I wanted real footage, not coincidence. I sat in my truck in the factory parking lot watching the live feed on my phone. At 7:14 p.m., Emily came home. Alone. She kicked her shoes off, made herself tea, scrolled her phone with that smile I hadn't seen directed at me in months. Then at 7:29 p.m., she paused. Her phone lit up, and her whole face changed, bright, glowing, alive. She walked to the hallway, the camera catching her reflection in the mirror. She fixed her hair, reapplied lip gloss. My stomach dropped. No woman touches up her lips for loneliness. A minute later, there was a knock at the door. Soft. 2 taps. She opened it quickly, too quickly, and stepped aside for someone to enter. A man. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a navy button-down. Clean shave. Confident stride like he had rights in my home. I watched through the hallway cam as he placed a hand on her waist. Casual. Familiar. She didn't flinch. Didn't move away. She leaned into it. I didn't realize I'd stopped breathing until my vision blurred. My chest felt too tight for ribs to hold. She led him to the living room, right beneath camera number 1. They sat close. Too close. Their knees touched and she laughed. That same laugh I hadn't heard directed at me in months. He brushed a finger across her cheek, like he'd done it 1,000 times. Then she said words that burned into me like acid. He's clueless. I told you. Mickle trusts me completely. My name. My trust. Used like a joke. The man smirked and replied, Good, because I don't want to deal with a husband who actually pays attention. I felt something inside me shatter, not loud, just a clean break, like glass under pressure. I should have stopped watching. I should have thrown my phone, driven home, screamed, cried, something. But I sat frozen, chained to the screen by a mix of horror and heartbreak. They talked for a while, about dinners they'd shared when she claimed to be working late. Inside jokes, plans for after everything sorts out. She said she'd tell me soon, that she just needed the right moment. Then the part no husband should witness. She kissed him. Slow. Familiar. Not a mistaken kiss, a practiced one. My hand shook so violently I almost dropped the phone. He lifted her chin, whispering something I'll never forget. You deserve better than him. Better than me. The man who worked overtime for that mortgage. The man who fixed her car in the rain. The man who loved her since high school. They disappeared into the bedroom, camera number 3. I should have turned it off. But pain makes cowards and witnesses of us at the same time. I watched enough to know everything I needed to know. More than any man deserves to see. I closed the feed. Sat in silence. My heartbeat shook my whole body, like it was trying to escape. People think anger hits like fire. No, anger is ice. Cold. Still. Silent. I drove home 2 hours later, after he'd left. I walked inside. Emily greeted me like nothing happened, kissed my cheek, asked how work was. I stared at her lips far too long, knowing exactly where they'd been. That night, she slept peacefully. I didn't close my eyes once. I replayed every moment of our marriage, the memories, the laughter, the vows, and realized I had 2 choices. Break down or stand up. And I chose the second, because heartbreak is painful, but betrayal makes a man dangerous. I whispered to myself in the dark, You will not destroy me. I will not go out pathetic. Tomorrow, I would start planning. Not screaming. Not fighting. Not crying. Planning. Because if she thought I was clueless, she hadn't seen anything yet. The morning after seeing the footage, something inside me changed. Not rage, not yet. Just clarity. A cold, focused understanding that the world I believed in no longer existed. Emily made coffee like nothing happened. Hummed even. I watched her carefully. Not as a husband, but as a man studying a stranger wearing his wife's skin. Every move she made felt like evidence. Every smile felt like a performance. She didn't know that I knew. And that gave me power. Most men explode. Slam doors. Demand answers. But I didn't. Silence can be the sharpest knife. While she showered, I rewatched the footage. Not to torture myself, but to analyze. Every timestamp, every gesture, every sentence. I saved copies to a private cloud, backed them up on a flash drive, then another flash drive hidden inside an old toolbox. I wasn't about to lose proof. At work, I was quiet, too quiet. My coworker Joe asked if I was okay. I just said, didn't sleep much. The truth sat in my mouth, like a heavy stone. All day, I thought about one thing. How do you expose a lie so deeply woven it looks like truth? I wasn't interested in screaming matches or broken dishes. I wanted impact. I wanted her to feel what I felt. Shock that steals breath. Betrayal that cracks bone. That night I acted normal. Ate dinner. Watched a movie. Laughed at all the right moments. She leaned on my shoulder casually, and that was when the first comment bait line crossed my mind. Funny how people seek comfort in the same arms they stab. I didn't say it out loud. but the words echoed inside me like prophecy. Over the next week, I let the cameras run. I wanted more than one night. I wanted pattern, and I got it. 3 visits. Same man. Same routine, careful, quiet, like a thief who knows the layout. One night, they planned a weekend trip for work. Another time she giggled and said, "He still has no idea." Every clip was a nail in the coffin of our marriage. But the footage wasn't even the cruelest part. It was the small things. She cooked his favorite meal, spicy chicken Alfredo. She wore the dress I bought her for our anniversary. She played our wedding song while setting wine glasses. The betrayal wasn't physical, it was emotional, intimate, personal. I didn't confront her. I held it all in. Because a man who reacts loses power. A man who waits owns the ending. And that's when the plan formed, slow, deliberate. Her parents were having a family dinner the next weekend. A big one, siblings, cousins, everyone. Emily was excited, planned outfits, asked if I could take pictures like every year. She wanted us to look happy for the family. Oh, we would look happy all right. For a moment. Then truth would walk in on its own legs. I bought an HDMI adapter for my laptop and tested the connection to the living room TV. I created a folder titled Memories. Inside it, I placed every video file, neatly labeled by date and timestamp. Undeniable, unspinnable truth. My reflection in the screen looked like a different man. Older, sharper, calm like a storm before landfall. I rehearsed nothing. I didn't need to. The truth was loud enough. During that week, Emily acted softer toward me. Ironic how guilt can make affection look generous. She cooked breakfast, hugged me from behind, asked if I was okay. Maybe she sensed distance. Or maybe the man she cheated with wasn't giving her what she imagined. But I responded with calm warmth, gentle enough to keep her blind, distant enough to keep me sharp. One night she asked, "You're quiet lately, everything all right?" I looked into her eyes, the same eyes I once trusted with my future, and simply said, "Everything's perfectly all right." She smiled, relieved. She had no idea that was the most dangerous answer she could hear. Because peace before exposure is never peace, it's preparation. And I knew something she didn't. People lie when cornered, but they can't lie when confronted with their own reflection. Saturday came. Family dinner day. I packed my laptop, flash drive inside the pocket, heart steady like a man walking to war with his head high. I wasn't nervous, I was calm. Too calm. Calm like a man who already accepted the ending. But the real moment, the reveal, that's where this story turns from heartbreak into justice. Because that night, I plugged my laptop into her parents' TV. And when I hit play, the room went silent. Emily's parents lived 20 minutes outside town. A big white house with a wide porch swing and a dining table long enough to seat a small army. Family gatherings there were loud, laughter, clinking cutlery. Old stories told too many times. A place where love was tradition. Funny how betrayal tastes bitter in a place built on warmth. We drove together. She was cheerful, makeup perfect, hair curled like she cared. She held my arm walking to the door, like we were a couple in love. If strangers saw us, they'd envy our marriage. Inside, her mother hugged her tight, then hugged me with that familiar matriarch warmth. "Good to see you, Mickle," she said. "You two look happy." I nodded, smiled. My jaw ached from holding it. Dinner began like every year. Roast turkey, mashed potatoes, green beans with too much garlic. People talked over each other. Cousins teased. Kids ran circles around the table. Emily laughed loudly, too loudly, like she wanted the world to see a picture of a marriage that no longer existed. Halfway through dessert, her father tapped his glass. "All right, everyone, family video night. Mickle always takes great pictures. Did you bring the laptop like Emily said?" Emily turned to me, eyes bright. "You did right, babe?" That word, babe, tasted like venom. "I did," I said calmly. "Got something special tonight." She clapped, excited. She thought it would be vacation photos, anniversary clips, memories of a life she burned quietly behind my back. I stood, walked toward the TV. My heartbeat was slow, calm like a surgeon's hand. I plugged the HDMI cable in. A blue screen flickered to life. Emily leaned back in her chair, smiling at her family. This was the moment. I opened a folder labeled Memories. Click. The first video thumbnail appeared, my living room. Timestamp 7:29 p.m. 3 weeks ago. Emily's smile faltered. Just a little, but enough. Her sister squinted at the screen. Her mother frowned, confused. "Is that your house?" her brother asked. I didn't answer. I pressed play. Sound filled the room. The knock on our front door. Emily opening it, letting that man inside. The room went silent immediately, like someone cut the oxygen out of the air. Emily's face drained of color. I watched her hands. They trembled. The video continued. Him touching her waist. Her leaning in. Her laugh, soft, intimate. The kiss. Gasps shot across the table. Her father's fork clattered to the plate. Emily jumped to her feet, voice shaking. And Mickle, stop. Turn it off. I didn't look at her. Didn't speak. Just played the next clip. He's clueless. I told you. Mickle trusts me completely. Her mother covered her mouth, tears forming instantly. Her father's face turned red. Not anger yet, just disbelief. Emily lunged for the laptop. I stepped aside easily, keeping the screen facing her entire family. Please, she cried, voice cracking. Not here. Not like this. Her cousin whispered under breath. My God. Another clip rolled, the bedroom. Not explicit, but clear enough. Enough to erase excuses, lies, illusions. Her father stood up suddenly. Emily. Explain. Now. She fell to her knees beside the table like her bones gave out. It wasn't what it looks like. I finally spoke. My voice was calm, steady, too steady. It's exactly what it looks like. Every eye watched her. No place to run. No lie strong enough to stand here. She sobbed, reaching for me like drowning hands grasping air. Mickle, please. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I looked down at her, not with rage, but with truth hardened into stone. A mistake is burning dinner. This was a choice. Silence. Heavy as judgment. Her mother cried quietly. Her father sat down slowly, staring at the table like he didn't recognize his own daughter. And that man, Mike G., walked in 3 minutes later. Yes, he had the audacity to show up, planned to join family dinner. When he stepped through the door and froze at the screen, the room erupted in shocked whispers. Emily collapsed in humiliation. Her father's voice boomed like thunder. Get out of this house. Both of you. The man backed out instantly, pale as death. Emily reached for me again, broken, ruined. Mickle, please don't leave me. We can fix this. I stepped back. Not with anger. With finality. You broke this. You fix it with yourself. I closed the laptop, took my coat, walked out without raising my voice once. And when that cold night air hit my face, I felt something deep inside unlock. Not triumph. Not joy. Freedom. I drove away that night with nothing but my truck keys, my wallet, and a heart that felt scraped clean. Not empty. Just cleared. Like someone had finally torn down a rotten structure that needed to fall years ago. Sometimes destruction is the beginning of peace. I didn't go home. Not that night. Instead, I checked into an old roadside motel, one of those quiet, forgotten places with flickering neon signs and carpets older than Facebook. I sat on the edge of the bed, shoes still on, staring at the wall while the weight of it all finally landed. 16 years. 16 years of birthdays, arguments, Christmases, road trips, promises whispered in the dark, all reduced to a handful of video files and a woman crying on her parents' floor. You'd think I would have cried too, but I didn't. I just felt tired, like a man who finally finished a marathon he never meant to run. I slept for 12 hours straight, deeper than I had in months. When I woke up, the sun was cutting through the blinds, warm and indifferent. I brewed a cheap motel coffee, bitter as medicine, and stared at my reflection in the mirror. My eyes looked older, yes, but calmer. Pain ages you. Truth frees you. My phone buzzed nonstop. Missed calls, dozens of messages. From Emily. Please talk to me. We can fix this. Come home. I made a mistake. I need you. I didn't answer, because for the first time in years, I was choosing myself. Later that evening, her father called. A man of few words, but every word heavy. Mickle, I'm sorry. I raised her better. I swallowed hard. No parent can control a grown heart. He sighed long and broken. If you decide to leave, I understand. Just know our door is still open to you. That one sentence nearly cracked me. Respect, even after betrayal, cuts deeper than hate ever could. Over the next few weeks, I moved into a small rental house closer to work. 1 bedroom, small kitchen, nothing fancy, but peaceful. I filed for divorce calmly, without theatrics. My lawyer said I was colder than most men in my position. I wasn't cold, I was done. Emily tried to negotiate, plead, bargain. She sent letters, voicemails, long paragraphs about memories, promises, regret. But regret isn't repair. And I had no desire to rebuild a home on ashes. We met once, in a quiet lawyer's office. She cried the whole time, cheeks streaked with mascara, fingers twisting tissues into ropes. She asked me why I didn't yell, why I didn't hit walls, why I didn't scream. I looked her in the eye, steady, honest, and said, because you weren't worth my rage, only my departure. She broke again. Part of me felt pity, but not enough to stay. People think closure comes like lightning. Truth is, closure is morning coffee in silence. It's fixing dinner for one and not hurting. It's sleeping in the middle of the mattress, because you finally can. I found pieces of my life again, slow, careful. I picked up fishing on weekends, visited my sister more, started reading old Western novels, the kind I never had time for back when I was trying to save a dying marriage. One afternoon, months later, I walked past a mirror and realized I was smiling. Not laughing, just the soft kind, the kind that doesn't need reason. Peace doesn't shout, it whispers. Emily eventually moved out of the house. Rumors said the other man didn't stay long. Maybe guilt caught up. Maybe he just liked the thrill more than the commitment. Betrayal often has no loyalty even to itself. Funny thing, her mother sends me pie every Thanksgiving. Her father still calls me son when we meet at town events. Life is strange like that. Sometimes the only person you lose is the one who has already gone inside. And here's the truth I learned. You can lose someone you love and still win back yourself. Because survival after betrayal isn't revenge, it's rebirth. Time has a way of softening even the sharpest edges. A year has passed since that night at her parents' house. The night truth walked into a room full of people and stripped a lie down to its bones. Sometimes I drive past that old home we shared. Not out of longing, out of remembrance. Not every memory hurts. Not every moment was a lie. But some chapters are not meant to continue, no matter how much history they hold. I think about who I used to be. A man who trusted blindly, who believed love alone could hold a house together. I don't shame him. He loved deeply, faithfully. But love without awareness can turn a man into his own enemy. Nowadays, I wake up before sunrise, drink coffee on my porch, and listen to the world breathe. Birds, wind, silence. Silence used to scare me. Now, it feels like proof that I survived something meant to break me. I learned to cook for myself, and not bad at it either. Some nights I eat steaks better than any restaurant in town. Some nights it's just scrambled eggs and toast. But even then, it tastes like freedom. Friends ask me if I'll ever marry again. Maybe. But I'm not searching, not filling voids. A heart healed slowly is better than a heart patched quickly. I don't hate Emily. I don't wish her pain. But I hope she remembers the day she watched her lies play across her parents' TV. Not to shame her forever, but so she never does it to someone else again. Sometimes healing doesn't look like forgiveness. Sometimes healing looks like distance. And if you're listening to this, wondering whether you're strong enough to walk away from something that's killing you slowly, you are. You just don't know it yet. Because life after betrayal isn't emptiness, it's clarity. It's learning the weight of your own worth. I used to think losing her was the worst thing that ever happened to me. Turns out, it was the beginning of getting myself back. So that's my story, folks. A painful one, sure, but pain doesn't last forever. It becomes wisdom if you let it. It becomes a doorway instead of a wall. And on the other side of that doorway is peace you never knew existed. Let me speak directly to you now. Heart to heart. If you feel something's wrong in your life, trust your gut. If your peace whispers something's off, listen. People lie, instincts don't. And never forget, secrets rot love from the inside out. Silence can save a man more than rage ever will. Walking away isn't weakness. It's proof you know your own worth. Now, so that's my story, folks. If it resonated with you, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments where you're listening from. I want to know how far Uncle Mickle's voice travels. And let me leave you with one final thought, the kind I learned the hard way. Sometimes life breaks you to rebuild you into someone stronger.